Today we conclude the book of Shoftim, and with it we conclude the terrible story of Pilegesh Begiv'ah, the story of the concubine who was raped and killed in the Giv'ah, where the people of Binyamin showed that they were more like the people of Sodom than they were like the descendants of Avraham. And we talked about that contrast 2 chapters ago. And last chapter, we had the civil war with basically all of Binyamin killed off because they refused to surrender the guilty rapists to the rest of Bnei Israel for justice to happen, and thus a civil war ensued. Excuse me, like I said, I have these hiccups. I don't know what's up with it. So we're continuing now the beginning of chapter 21, the final chapter of the book of Shoftim. The Ish Yisrael Mishpah Mitzpah Leimor, Ish Mimeni Lo Yitain Bitola Binyamin Liisha. The men, they got together and they took an oath that none of us will give his daughter in marriage to anyone from Binyamin. A lot of the members of Binyamin have already been killed, and now they're going to have a hard time gaining population because nobody from any of the other tribes is going to marry their daughters to them. The people came back to Bethel. They were in Bethel earlier after losing on the first 2 days of battle. They went to Bethel and they prayed to God, and on the third day they were victorious in battle. And here they're crying out to God, Vayomru Lama Adonai Elohei Yisrael Itazot Yisrael Lehifached Hayom Yisrael Shevet Echad. And they said to God, how has this happened? Why has this happened? That an entire tribe has been cut off from Israel, right? We were 12 tribes, but now it's like we're 11 tribes. There's Binyamin. Next day they got up, they built an altar, they had burnt offerings there that they offered, but they don't get an answer. There's no answer given to the question as to why it is that an entire tribe has been cut off. Why was there a civil war? God, what is going on? And now they're starting to think about the oath that they made. And so they say, is there anyone from all the tribes who failed to come up? Because we made this oath and none of us can give our daughters over to the Binyaminites. And Bnei Israel, Yamin Achiv Vayomru Nigdah Hayom Shevet Echad MeYisrael. Now Bnei Israel, they feel badly. What did we do to our co-religionists, to our kinsmen, the Binyaminites? A whole tribe has been cut off from Israel. Now what they did, you could say in many ways, was not wrong. This was a terrible society, and that's why it's painted by the book of Shoftim that the tribe of Binyamin is really compared to Sodom. Like we said multiple times, in the way, their lack of hospitality, the wording that's used, it's really, that's the way that it's showed. But now they feel badly, right? They didn't want to destroy all of Binyamin. They just wanted the guilty parties to be brought to justice. Like, Inachamu b'nei Yisrael Binyamin achiv. Read that pasuk Zayin. Mi na'af ma'naseh lahem lanotarim l'nashim. So now they said, what can we do for the rest of the Binyaminites to make sure that they have wives? But we took an oath that we were not going to marry our daughters to them. And they find that there's only one place where the people have not come up, and that is from Yavesh Gilad. That's a place that's in the eastern bank of the Jordan River. It's kind of a little bit, sort of separated. And we'll see later on, this is the beginning of a lengthy relationship between the people of Yavesh Gilad and the tribe of Binyamin. Doesn't start so great though. And they looked and they said, yeah, there's nobody here from Yavesh Gilad. So they did not take this oath. So they sent 12,000 of their warriors. Go and go and attack the people of Yavesh Gilad because they did not come to war. And they said, we should go and kill every man and every woman who is not a virgin. By Imsu Mioshvei Gabesh Galad Arba Meot Narab Basher Leada Ish Lemishkav Zachar Vaivio Tamal Machaneh Shiloh Asher Be'eretz Canaan. And so they go there and they find 400 maidens, 400 unmarried women, and they bring them to Shiloh. So they're members of Binyamin who are hiding at the rock of Rimon. They say, we want to make peace. And they say, in fact, we want you to be a tribe again. So here are these 400 women. We're thinking about the solution in which they're trying to correct this problem is they go and they kidnap these women. So they take these 400 women and they give them to the Bnei Binyamin, but there's still more than 400 men from Binyamin. So it's not enough men. But the people are still upset. We're still going to have a breach? There's still going to be one tribe that's lacking in Israel because there are more than 400 men. By the time Binyamin repopulates, it's going to be decades, maybe a century. So they say we have to figure out something to save the tribe of Binyamin. We can't let this tribe be blotted out. But none of us can do it because we said that their curse is going to come to anybody who took this oath together as a nation. Right? So there's some people who come up and they say, there's a Chag, a holiday that's coming in Israel for Bnei Yisrael that comes every once in a while. Asher mitzvona leBeit-El, it's north of Beit-El, Mizracha Hashemesh, to the east, La Ha'ola, Beit-El, Shchema, U'miminegem L'Levona. Okay, there's going to be a festival, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. Who knows? There's going to be a festival in Shiloh. They're saying where Shiloh is. Vayitzavu Bnei Binyamin leilor. L'chu v'arav becoming. They say to the people of Binyamin, go and hide in the vineyards outside of Shiloh. Uritan v'hineim yetzu b'not Shiloh lachul b'mecholot v'yatzatem min akramim v'chataftem lachem ish ishto b'not Shiloh v'alachtem eretz Binyamin. So what should you do? As the girls of Shiloh come out to dance from the vineyard, what should you do? Go and grab a woman, basically kidnap her, in order that she become, and then go to the land of Binyamin so that this way you'll find a wife. So here we have this crazy story, this horrific story of a gang rape. Binyamin is basically killed out. And how are we going to make sure that Binyamin is going to remain alive as a tribe in Israel? They're going to go and they're going to kidnap and basically rape women from the town of Shiloh. That's what's advised. Rather than trying to figure out how to get away with the oath, this is the solution. And that, in many ways shows how terrible things have become for Bnei Yisrael. There's no leadership, there's no strength, there's nobody saying, let's get rid of this oath. There's nobody who was able to reason with the people of Binyamin. Things have gone, and even the solution to the problem is horrific in its way. And if they're fathers and brothers and they come, they complain, how could you allow this to happen? How could you let our daughters be kidnapped and then taken as wives by the people of Binyamin? We'll have to say, because of the war, we couldn't have done anything about it. And that's just what happens as a result of this war in Israel. So the Binyaminites did so. They took wives from the dancers, right? And the word that there is gazal, right? They kidnapped them, they stole them, and they went home and they rebuilt their towns and their houses. And again, it's just demonstrating the horrific nature of what's going on here. There's no leadership, there's no strength, there's nobody who can steer Bnei Israel in the right way. There's nobody preventing gang rapes and murders and anarchy. There's nobody who's preventing ridiculously terrible oaths to happen because there's no united leadership. There's a civil war, and there's a tribe that's almost destroyed. And the solution to gang rape and murder is basically more kidnap and raping. It's a terrible, terrible story that goes on. There are those who say that this happened on Tu B'Av. We have this holiday called Tu B'Av, which was a holiday of, I guess you could say it's like the Valentine's Day. The girls would go dancing in the fields. The Mishnah describes it. So there are those who connect this with the last Mishnah Masechet Ta'anit, that this is when it was happening, because we have these girls dancing in the field, presumably to get a shidduch, to go and find somebody to get married to, but it wouldn't be through them being kidnapped. They would be married to other people. Okay, so verse 25, the last verse in the book, in this chapter and in this book, and this is the same chapter that we've said, the same words that we said that have happened over and over again over the last number of chapters. By Mim Hahem Ein Melech B'Yisrael Ish Hayashar Be'enav Yaseh. In those days there was no king of Israel, and everybody did that which they pleased. I know we live in America and freedom and doing what you want, and then the government not getting in your pocket and not telling you what to do. And so oftentimes we think of this idea as being a positive one, but the way that the Tanakh is telling us, this is not, oh, you have certain freedoms and that's good. This is saying that there is anarchy. We almost destroy a tribe. We have idolatry. We have stealing. We have kidnapping. We have, the tribe of Dan, no leadership to tell them what to do. They go up north and they destroy all the people, this innocent town, the Costa Rica, right? Laish, with no army. They destroy all these people to get a new town. We have, so we have houses of worship. We have fake kohanim. We have stealing, lying, rape, murder. We have, civil war. Everything is a disaster. And that's the last few chapters in this book, in a book that went from good leaders in the beginning, Ehud and Otniel, in times of peace for Bnei Israel, great woman in Devorah, and Gidon, and things then start to go downward spiral terribly. Yiftach, with his words about whoever leaves his house first will become an Olah LaHashem. Shimshon, great strength, problematic leader, seemed to spend more times in the, with the Philistine women than with his co-religionists. Yes, he kills many Plishtim, but there's no peace that comes to Israel. And the book concludes with these terribly horrific stories. The story of the murder of the people of Laish, the Pesel Micha, maybe again the grandson or great-grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu that Tanakh tries to hold, how quickly Bnei Yisrael descend. And this may be the worst story in the entire Tanakh, the story of the gang rape and the solution that is the kidnapping. And it's telling us, this is what happens when there's a Melech B'Yisrael. This is what happens when there's no king of Israel. And of course, it's leading in to the next book, which we will bring in tomorrow, the book of Shmuel, which will begin with Judges, Eli, and then Shmuel, but ultimately will lead to the first king of Israel, though we could say Abimelech in this book was the first self-proclaimed king of Israel, but the first king of Israel to be proclaimed by God, Shaul, and then lead us to the great dynasty of the Jewish people, to Melech David. And so we're going to go from the days of Ein Melech B'Yisrael and the anarchy and lawlessness, and we're going to go to a time when there is a king, and we'll see how much better it's going to be when we have a king. And that, of course, will also raise a series of problems, and we will get there and discuss it more in depth as we enter into those chapters.